Hey, gang. Today we're going to do something a little bit special. I got a request a while back to do King Harvest's Dancing in the Moonlight. Great song. I just love it. Just makes me feel happy listening to it. The request was for the solo only, which I do, and I am going to go over. But I don't know what came over me. I just decided I was going to do adventure style, so that's what I did. So that's what's coming up. Now, I recorded this a while back, so you may find a few differences in what's going on. As always, if you like this one, please give it the like button or hit the like button or the thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, subscribe for one of these, or actually a couple, every single week. We'll see you in just a minute. I'm going to do the demo first, and then we'll come back and we'll talk shop and do the lesson. All right. Okay, gang, let's do this now. Here's the plan. I'm going to give you the chords first. Let's talk about the chords first, and then the theory. There's very little theory once you go over the chords, because you noticed, I think, at the end of that I was improvising some. So I'll show you what I was thinking when I was what I was doing when I was improvising. Next, I'm going to go over the solo line by line, and that's the only thing I'll do note for note. And I do have some tab down below that's going to help you for that. Shows you the solo and how it fits into the chords. At the end, I'll tell you how I approach the melody on this and what I do to try and make it, at least the second or third time around, to make it a little more interesting to myself and others, what I'm doing, playing around with the rhythm, playing around with the notes around the melody, adding double stops and things like that. Okay, so that's what we'll do. Let us, as the rabbit said, start out with the chords. Chords are pretty straightforward. They're repeated all the time. A lot of people use a capo on this. You don't need to use a capo. But if you want to, feel free to do it, and you'd probably want to do it at the 3rd fret. Okay, so we're going to start out with the chords. The chords are, we've got an F minor, to a B flat, to a E flat, B flat with a D in the bass, and a C minor. All right? So, how do they fit in? So I'm going to try to sing it along here. Everybody's dancing in the moonlight. That's F minor to B flat. Everybody's feeling E flat, warm, and that's a B flat with the D bass, and bright. Right? And the rest of it is basically the same. It just repeats. All right, so that's it. That's the chords. Now, the beauty of this is that all the chords, from F minor, C minor, to all the way to C minor, right? Which is where it ends. So the F minor, the B flat, the E flat, back to a B flat, and C minor, they're all diatonic or in the key of E flat. So all of those notes work perfectly when we're doing this. So when I'm improvising from that to the all of that stuff that I'm doing, improvising, I'm just playing in the key of E flat. Okay, so it's the key of E flat, or if you want, you can play it in C minor. Those share the same notes, so you can think about it either way that works. Okay? Let's now go over the solo. I'm going to play the solo slow motion first, and then we'll break it down line by line. Okay, so here's the solo. Okay, so that's it. Slow motion. A lot of country-ish type of thing that's going on, that little bend that's going on. So the first one, this right here, let's go over the first line. Is a little country-ish bend and then some double stops. If we go on the second string, 11th fret, we're going to bend that up a whole step. But we're also going to play the 11th fret with our pinky as we bend that up, and we're going to hold them both. You hear that a lot. So that's a whole step bend on the second and holding the first string at the 11th as well. And then we're going to bring it down. Just hit the third string on the 10th. Now that's some double stop action there. We're just playing on the third and second strings there. We're playing 10 and 9 respectively. And then on the third, we'll hold on the second, the 9th, and we'll go on the third string to the 8th, right? And back to the 10th. So that's the whole first line. Okay, here's the second line. Okay, the second line is that same lick on the 11th, coming down to the 8th on the second string, which is a G. So, okay, and then we're going to do twice this. So this is slightly different, but it's got the same flavor as that one on the 11th, right, that we just did. But now we're doing on the third and second strings. We're going to hold on the second string at the 11th, third string on the 10th. We're going to bend that up a whole step and then play it just regular without bending and then play the 8th. So, and we're going to do that twice. then play on the 4th string 10th, right? Coming down to that C note. That's a C. So here's the whole thing again. Okay. Second time around, it's very similar, but just slightly different. Okay, so again, we're playing the same lick, and then we're coming down on the 11th, and we're instantly, as soon as we can, playing the other lick that we had with the 2nd and 3rd strings, 3rd string on the 10th, 2nd string on the 11th. So it's like this. Okay, so 2 of those bends in a row, but they're on different strings. Okay, now we've got this again. That's a double stop lick that we did the first time around. And that's it. So here's that line. Here's the last line. That is the exact as the second follow-up line. It's exactly the same. That's the same, but instead of coming down to the 4th string on that C, you just play that E flat, which is the 2nd string 8, 3rd string 8. All right, so that's it. That's it for the exact solo. All right, just a couple of tips on playing the melody. So first of all, if you're going to learn it, you can use a couple of different things here. I like playing these things. If I'm going to play them, I play almost totally by ear. I try and figure out what the melody is, not by thinking about key or chords or anything like that first. I just try and play the melody. And I try and figure out patterns that are going to sound okay. If you do want to use the key, you can go to a certain octave, like in this one right here, which is E flat. Right, that's a pattern that I'm familiar with. And just kind of figure out how to get it in that what the melody is by trying to use that key. Now, it's no secret that a lot of songs, melodies, stay in their key primarily, or they cover the chords and very often are arpeggios. So if you know the arpeggios for a particular chord, that can sometimes help. But what I find helps the most is if you can sing or hum the melody, then it makes it a lot easier. Okay, so if you hum the melody, right, that kind of works. And because the human voice doesn't like to do a lot of huge jumps up and down, a lot of times playing it in one octave is going to work in many cases. Now, the other thing that you want to think about is the human voice is capable of inflection that the guitar is not capable of, or is not as capable of. And so sometimes we'll do bends or slides or hammer-ons and pull-offs. So you can try and incorporate that in. So instead of playing, you could maybe play, right, and put that, or slide into it. You know, things like that. Instead of playing it very straight like that, you could play, you know, that, or that kind of thing. All right, so I did that. So what are some things about, once you get that basic melody down, that you can do? Well, you can try and put different rhythms in there. You know, that kind of thing. Slides. You can also try things like double stops, and I think you heard me play those. You know, so you can try different double stops. Those were thirds. You You can play, whatever. If you want to play fourths, you can play fourths. That kind of thing. If you want to play sixths, you can play sixths. So, pull out the stops, the double stops when you're playing this sort of thing. It really helps. Octaves, I find, is another easy way to do it because octaves are a nice, easy way to do it because you're not guessing as much. Octaves always will work, right? If you know the melody, you can play an octave and it's going to be the melody itself. But it does somehow give it a sonic difference, which is kind of nice. The last thing I'd say with the melody is you'll notice that it kind of went upwards as we went along, right? So that sometimes helps to build the action. When the action resets, like it does in the actual song, I went down again in terms of where I was playing. But then as the song progresses, I went back up. And the last time when I'm playing the octaves, I was playing way up here, right, before I went into the improv. So that's kind of an important thing to think about sometimes when we think of moving higher up in register on the guitar. It coincides with the guitar or with the song hitting a high point, literally a high pitch going to a high point. All right, so that's just some things to keep in mind. As with the improv, you have to pick a good place to kind of go into it. And I felt that where I was going into it was kind of natural. And that's it. We already talked about it. This is all in E flat, so have a ball with this one and just wail away and try and find some of those good chord tones. But it's best to just experiment. You could see I was even experimenting. Oops, I'm sorry. With some of the double stops that were there as well. So it's a lot of fun to improvise over this one. This one's just really fun to play. All right, there you go, gang. King Harvest, Dancing in the Moonlight. It's a great song. Toploader, or a band, I think they were called Toploader. I'm not really familiar with them. Had another hit when they did it. They redid it sort of as a soul song. And it just goes to show you how it's just a great combination and it just works really well. All right. Anyway, until next time, I hope you enjoyed this. I obviously enjoyed making it, and I hope that comes through. We'll see you on down the road.